I'm Kevin Larson here with Leah Mitchell, ASTV. So Leah, we're going to talk to you about two things. First, we're going to talk soccer. You're the president of the Stonewall Soccer Association.
Yes, I am.
So first off, what is numbers this year compared to other years? Are you guys staying the same, growing?
I would say we grow every year. We're at about 340 kids this year. So that's from age 3 up into 18-year-olds.
Okay. So when you're dealing with a youth soccer or minus soccer, kind of mentioned to you earlier, a big issue is coaches. How many coaches do you think you still need or that you need every year, and how many do you still need?
We're good this year because our season actually started beginning of May. But every year we need about 80 coaches.
Okay. So that's always a big one that you go through. It's usually when kids kind of move on, people stop coaching, so I just always like to bring that up.
Well, and I think, too, a lot of times people are intimidated to coach, and I always try to explain to people, you don't have to know anything about soccer. Kids just want to have fun. As long as you can kick a ball, you can coach.
It's true. I've been a coach for 3 years, and I can tell you that. So with the different age groups, can you tell me a little bit about the different age groups? So maybe a parent is thinking, oh, my kid's not old enough or they're not good enough. So I mean, really, the young age groups, they start as young as 3 or 4, I believe?
Yeah, so we have sort of two different groups. We have mini soccer, and then we have travel soccer. So mini soccer is ages, if you're turning 3 that year, you can go into it, and if you're turning 8. So between 3 and 8, we run Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 to 7 at the Stonewall Soccer field. And we just have different fields for, there's a 3, 4, a 5, 6, and a 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're all mixed teams, so boys and girls. Once they get to 7, 8, we actually do girls and boys and boys. And what we try to do is once a week the girls play girls, boys play boys, and then once a week it'll be girls versus boys, like play boys,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's been a real big, I've found, to increase girls in soccer. I've been with the committee about 5 years. So when I first started, we had 1 girls team in the mini. Yeah. In the 7-8. Now we have 4 this year.
Okay, that's good.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's always. I know I always bring up girls sports and the growth in it. And then in those games, do the girls like beating the boys a little bit more than the boys like beating the girls?
I'm sure they do.
I know. Growing up, that's always kind of a thing. Well, should we do boys versus girls? But you know what? When those girls win, it's just like it's almost like winning whatever the soccer Stanley Cup is, Premier League. They don't really have a cup, or they do. But now for your older kids, traveling, what range do they travel? Do they play? And yeah, I guess we'll just.
So we have So once you turn the year you're turning 9, we call it our travel soccer. So that it depends. Our 9 to 12-year-olds play in a Selkirk league, so they play in areas like Selkirk, St. Andrews, Petersfield, that area. So it's not too bad. It's about, I would say, maybe 20-minute, 25-minute drive to most games, right? Yeah. No traffic, so that's always nice. Once you go to U13, we play with WISA in the city, so those games are in the city. So it's kind of a good mix, right? Because I find that the kids who stick around longer want more competition. Yeah. So obviously, the higher you get, more competition. So then you go to the city. And whereas our 9 to 12 is more of a recreational league. But we have 11 teams in our travel this year, too. And like I would say, pretty much evenly matched girls and boys teams.
Okay, well that's good to hear.
Really good. Yeah.
So is there anything else, like as far as the growth of soccer here in Stonewall? Is there something that you kind of just want to let parents know? Either, hey, if you have kids looking or something you need, or is there anything else you just want to kind of ask parents or tell parents?
I would just say, you know what, if you're looking for something to do with your kids to start off with, soccer's a great thing. All you got to do is come out and kick a ball, right? And it's a great way for parents to meet parents. If you're new to town, it's a great way for kids to get out and just get some physical activity. Yeah. You don't really need a lot of skill in the beginning, right? So if you just want to come out. And the way we play, too, with a lot of our models in the younger groups, people think it's just a game, but the way we work is it's a half-hour practice, half-hour game. And for the younger kids, up until 6-year-olds, we actually have a couple balls on the team or on the field during the soccer game, so that it's not just 2 kids with the ball and everyone else chasing, right? Yeah. Like it's actually, kids getting a chance to get those ball touches and really improve their skills. And just the same with coaching. It seems intimidating, but it's not. I always have parents come to me every year, well, I'd like to coach, but I've never played. I don't know what to do. And It's easy. You could
Yeah.
you could play Mr. Wolf with the ball for the whole half hour, and they'd be happy. So
Learn a lot of skills and it's
Yeah.
the cheapest sport to get into, which is,
It is,
why
yeah.
a lot of people's like, well, when they're little and haven't really found yet, it's like, well, all we need is a pair of shin guards and cleats.
exactly, and you don't need even that when you first start in 3-year-olds.
true.
Running shoes and you're good.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to shift gears and pardon the pun, because we're going to talk about Manitoba Karting Association. So I learned about this about half an hour ago. I mean, I knew about the Gimli track, but you actually have a karting, and the interesting thing is when you can start.
Yes, so you can start officially racing when you're 8, but if you want to come out and just practice and see if you like it, you can actually start at 5. And we have a great program up in our group called Kart Now.
Yeah.
So you can actually go, you can try out karts, you can see if you like it, you can see what fits. They'll help you get into it, let information on what to buy and all the safety gear, and it's just a great way to try. And it's a really family focused sport. Like, everyone goes up to Gimli, we camp all weekend up there, we practice, we race and have potlucks, and and you can actually race all over. Like, for example, we've gone to Edmonton, we've gone to Calgary, Regina has a club, Saskatoon has a club. So you can stay here and race every second weekend in the summer, or you can travel too.
All right, so every second weekend, that's a good. One thing I didn't kind of mention, I'll bring it up, but now let's say you are a family again that you can't go buy a cart. Go-karts aren't exactly a hockey stick.
No.
Is there a renting program to compete with, or is that a little bit more difficult?
Kart Now has carts that people can start off with, and then you can kind of decide from there if you do want to invest in it. It is something where at some point, but you can buy used carts, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone has to buy that brand new cart. It's more about the motor than the cart anyway, right? So I think people are intimidated by it, but what I always tell people too, it's a big expense initially, but you're going to get your money back way more than a lot of other sports, because a lot of that stuff doesn't really go down too much, right?
Yeah,
If
you
take
grow
good
a
care
size,
of it.
half a size, and now you have to get new skates for your cart.
and you can sell your cart. Like, there's always someone looking for the cart and things like that. They're quite easy to sell and things like that. And we have a swap and shop every year where people are buying and selling. And
Now, are these carts, can you use them kind of, maybe not necessarily deep in the woods, but kind of off-road, or are these ones for the track, not really made for that?
I think maybe like a dirt track, but the biggest thing, and we're very particular on, is safety, because these carts can go really fast. Like, my husband, they're going 70 miles an hour around a track, right? So if you're going at a slower speed, you could go on a dirt track, but I mean, if you're going to go those kinds of speeds, it should be on a proper track with the proper safety gear.
All right, so not exactly the dune go-karts. These are actual racing.
Yeah, these are the ones that a lot of like Formula One drivers start out with, and then they move up into the Formula One and things like that.
Yeah. So maybe you don't know, but how successful do you think people who have done Go-Kart Manitoba in other racing, do you kind of keep track? Do they come back and let them know, hey, I've done this race, I've done that race, or?
A little bit. Like, I mean, we have about 30 families that race. Some people just race because they just like racing. So it's not necessarily that they're competitive. They just like to go out and go fast for the weekend, right? So they race here. Some go to different tracks and try it out and see how it goes. And I would say we do pretty good in other places. Those who go and things like that. But it's like anything. You got to practice. You got to be out at the track doing those laps. And sometimes too, it's not even if if something happens to your motor. I mean, you could be in first place, but if that motor pulls you to the side, doesn't matter how hard you've practiced, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a good mechanic too.
Another thing, how hard is it to get practice time there at the Gimli track?
It's pretty good because all of our weekends, the Saturdays is actually called a test and tune, which is all practice. And then on the Sunday as well, we have our races, but it's not just one race. There's practice and there's finals and placements and things like that. So there's about, I would say, 5 races, and then the last race is that final where you get your points race.
Okay. Now, when you go to these, like you call the tune, there sounds like there'd be people that are like, hey, I'm not really sure what's going on. The community's pretty good that say, hey, I can help you with that. And that way, if you don't know what's going on, you can still race and get some help.
Absolutely. And that's actually our Kart Now program. That's any new people coming into our program, we connect them with Kart Now because they're that, and we have great packages too for new people coming in. My husband's actually the president, so we work with a lot of people coming in and just letting them know, these are the expenses, these are the rules that you have to follow, right? These are the because there's actually certain safety gear you have to buy and things like that. So absolutely, because it is a lot. It can be very overwhelming. So we're there to help because we want to encourage more people to kart.
And then I'm just going to ask about the age groups. Now, you said as young as 8. They race 8 to 10, you said?
About 8 to 10, yeah. So we have 2 different motors. We have Road Tax motor, and we have Briggs & Stratton. So Briggs & Stratton is more of a cost-effective motor, and so there's different groups there, and they go about 8 to 10. I'm going to say 11 to 14, and then 15 and up.
Okay.
Same with the Road Tax. The Road Tax is a faster motor. Same thing there, about 8 to 10. I'm going to say 11 to 14, and 15 up. 15 up is considered adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And I mean, this is very interesting. I know my kids are here and kind of talking about it, and it just seems like something that you don't really think of here in Manitoba, go-kart racing competitively. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
Of course, anyone watching, the Manitoba Karting Association, if you want more information, look them online.
We have a website. I think it's manitobakarting.ca, but just type in Manitoba Karting and it'll pop up,
Yeah, so get more information, questions, obviously anything like that, because new sports, always good to learn all the things, but you don't have to learn it all. You don't have to be an expert. So thank you, Leah, for coming up. So stay tuned. We have our wrap-up for the day. We'll talk about when our next shows are here on Amateur Sports TV.